Again, we're here to talk about the work our office does more generally. And so if you think about sustainability, you may have heard of the triple bottom line. We like to put our own spin on that, ecology, economy, and equity, racial equity in particular. And those three principles all work together to help make Milwaukee a world-class eco-city. The idea here is that we want to do very practical things that improve people's lives now and make a more racially equitable city, a more prosperous city. But to do that and to work on our economy, we have to think about the long-term effects on our planet and do things in a more sustainable way. So we cannot have long-term sustained economic growth if we do not protect the underlying ecosystems that are so important. That includes our water, it includes our land, and it includes our air and climate as well. So we have to work on all of those things together. We do that by running programs in the city of Milwaukee, both direct city programs, but also in partnership with businesses and academic groups and community-based organizations. And we're also part of a broader global movement around sustainability. And so it helps to think about our work here in Milwaukee as part of a bigger push to tackle major problems like climate change. The major foundational document, which was signed in June of last year into law, is the Milwaukee Climate and Equity Plan. And so that shapes much of our work going forward strategically. So the Climate and Equity Plan was the result of over 3 years of public input and planning through the City-County Task Force on Climate and Economic Equity. The idea was that we have a climate crisis, and we've also had long-standing racial disparities that have gone on way too long. And to really be a first-class city, we need to address those racial equity issues as well. And so the goals of the climate plan are to reduce community greenhouse gas emissions 45% by 2030 and to pursue net zero by 2050, net zero emissions. And then to create new good paying clean energy jobs that pay at least $40,000 a year and are focused the recruitment on local people of color so that, again, as we build this new economy, we are giving everyone a fair shake at making a good family supporting wage. We know that good family supporting wages, if people can make a good income, that can help address many of the other disparities that we have in our community, including health and housing disparities and things of that nature. So it's really important to lift people's opportunity with this plan. There are 10 big ideas in the plan that all kind of work together. These include a green jobs accelerator to help introduce people to these green jobs and where to get trained and where to get employed in these new industries. It involves healthy home upgrades, which includes really taking a holistic look at how we improve housing by addressing energy efficiency, asthma issues, and doing that in coordination with other efforts to reduce lead paint and lead service lines. Number 3 is about building new net zero energy housing. And so as we seek to restore our existing housing stock, we know that in some cases we need to build new. We have a lot of vacant lots, and so the idea is if we can build new net zero energy homes using advanced building construction techniques, we can get more people to move back into the city and have really healthy homes. And all of that supports Mayor Johnson's vision of Milwaukee being a city of 1 million people eventually. Number 4 is about commercial buildings and driving energy efficiency in the large commercial buildings through supportive commercial building resource centers, as well as policies like requiring buildings of a certain size to annually report on their energy use. Number 5 is about people-centered transportation, which means designing our communities so that you don't have to have a car to get around, but rather you can walk and bike and have connections to transit. And so it's the interconnection of transit opportunities with how we redesign our neighborhoods. Number 6 is about electrifying transportation. So we know that many people are still going to choose to get around in cars, and that both passenger cars and large fleet vehicles are a really important part of our economy. But we need to move off of fossil fuels and start moving towards electric vehicles and hybrids and other things that use less fossil fuels from other parts of the world. Number 7 is about greening the electric grid, which means working to push for policies where we can eventually retire coal-fired power plants and instead replace that with clean renewable energy. We want to support rooftop solar, but also large-scale utility solar as well. Number 8 is about protecting and restoring nature in the city. meaning expanding on our green infrastructure plan, which I'll talk about in a moment, but really reducing the amount of pavement we have and increasing the amount of trees and other nature-based systems to manage stormwater, clean the air, and create a more livable city. Next, we have waste reduction and sustainable consumption, which means just using less and wasting less. And there's a particular emphasis on reducing food waste, which is particularly problematic when it decomposes in a landfill and produces methane gas, which is a potent greenhouse gas emission. So we're fortunate that we got a grant to work on that this coming year. And then number 10 is about resilience ambassadors, or working with community-based organizations to really do education and outreach about all of these topics, as well as the programs that we have available to help residents. Our green infrastructure plan was passed in 2019 and has a goal of installing 36 million gallons of stormwater capture in the city by 2030. We do that in partnership with Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewerage District, but what we are trying to do is again, reduce the amount of pavement we have so that when we have extreme storms, which are more of an issue during climate change, we have more of this nature-based systems to help manage all of that stormwater. And then when it's not raining, trees and deep-rooted plants really, I think, improve the quality of life in our city. It's much more pleasant to be around plants and vegetation than only pavement and asphalt. So in the green infrastructure plan, we prioritize the funding we have for green streets. We have a great partnership with Milwaukee Public Schools where they are pulling up blacktop and putting in nature-based play areas for kids that manage stormwater. And also, again, working on our city-owned, but also public or private sector parking lots to add vegetation and greenery to better manage stormwater. We have new requirements that were passed that requires all large developments and redevelopments to capture the first half inch of rainfall using green infrastructure. And we have done the research to target our work in priorities areas of the city to, again, reduce flooding risk, but also that urban heat island that disproportionately impacts lower income individuals. We've done a lot of work, excuse me, on renewable energy in the city of Milwaukee. So this includes both rooftop solar on our buildings, but also larger projects as well. In 2009, the City Council passed a goal to get 25% of our power from renewable sources by 2025, which is right around the corner. And so we've done some major projects, rooftop projects on our central repair garage, central library, engine houses, and the like. But we've got to do more than that. We've got to build bigger systems to help us get to that goal. And so one of the really cool ones that is this Port of Milwaukee wind turbine. Again, we'll have a whole nother webinar about the history of that wind turbine, but it's right on the shores of Lake Michigan where we have a really good wind resource. The port building is now net zero electricity because of all the power from that wind turbine. And it was built in Wisconsin. So it's really, really a great story. And then we're working with We Energies to build large-scale utility solar. So in the picture, you can see a 2.25 megawatt system or 10 acres of solar built on a landfill next to General Mitchell Airport. We actually lease that land to We Energies and get a revenue, which we then reinvest in future climate work. And this week, we will be seeking approval to build the next 11 megawatts of solar, which would, if approved, allow us to hit our 25% by 2025 goal. So we're really excited about those projects. Next, we run a number of core programs that directly benefit city residents. So the first of those is our Milwaukee Energy Efficiency Program that has helped weatherize well over 1,500 homes in the city of Milwaukee since 2011 and won a Climate Protection Award from the U.S. Conference of Mayors. So through that program, we offered energy advocates as well as financing through our partner Summit Credit Union. So people can not only understand what to do about energy efficiency in their home, but also get the financing to do those projects, and then also try to get federal tax credits and rebates through the state's Focus on Energy program. And we'll be bringing that program back later this year for targeted neighborhoods. Then we have our Milwaukee Shine Solar program that's helped over 280 property owners install nearly 1.3 megawatts of solar on their homes through a group buy process, that's where we get bulk pricing for solar that brings the price down for everybody. And we were one of 14 cities to win a Soul Smart Gold Award for making it easier to get solar permits in the city. And this theme of financing is something that I feel is very important because a lot of times sustainability pays for itself in the long term, but it might cost a little more upfront. So the answer is financing, both for homeowners and then for commercial buildings as well. And so for commercial buildings, we're the first city in Wisconsin to have a PACE financing program. It's called Property Assessed Clean Energy Financing. And it has supported over $40 million worth of energy efficiency projects in the city of Milwaukee, and it saves those building owners over $2 million per year. The U.S. Department of Energy thought well enough of it to call it a national implementation model for other communities, and it has since expanded throughout Wisconsin. And the basic idea is commercial building owners can get a loan to do energy efficiency and repay it as a special charge on their property tax bill, which overcomes many market barriers to developers doing energy efficiency. Next, we have our Eco Neighborhoods initiative, which is really how we try to take this vision of being an eco city citywide and kind of bringing it down to the neighborhood level. And so what we do is we work with neighbors, particular neighborhoods that want to work with us and have demonstrated willing partners there. And so we support them. We work within community groups who have the volunteers and the credibility in their neighborhood. And we provide tools and resources so they can help get the word out about our programs as well as other nonprofit programs. The first one of these was Lindsay Heights, designated in 2018. And we've done a lot of great work in that neighborhood, such as the Fondy Park, next to the Fondy Farmers Market, a lot of greenscaping up and down North Avenue, and other improvements in the neighborhood, working really closely in partnership with Walnut Way Conservation Corporation. And we have a little eco tour where you can kind of see all the sites that we've improved over there. More recently, we've worked with Sherman Park Community Association and a great group of pastors and churches and volunteers over there to elevate sustainability practices in Sherman Park. There's a picture of a tree planting project that we did in that neighborhood. And then this year, we're working in the Century City Triangle neighborhood as well. So again, it's really trying to empower residents to use the programs that we have available and really take advantage of the opportunities when they're presented. We have another program with a focus called the Water-Centric City Initiative. And what this really tries to do is elevate Milwaukee as a global leader when it comes to sustainable water management practices. Milwaukee is a city built on water. We have 3 rivers and, of course, the Great Lakes. And so water plays a really big role in the city's history and our identity and our economy. And so through our Water-Centric City Initiative, we have a close collaboration with businesses and academia and civic organizations to elevate the importance of water. And you can see these 7 principles that we have of what it means to be a water-centric city. So the first is applied water research and policy. We have an outstanding School of Freshwater Research at UWM. And so what we do is we work closely with them to apply the research that they are doing in the city policy. So as an example, we recently had a group of students study wind turbines in the Great Lakes and make recommendations about how to do that in an ecologically sound manner. We've applied research that they have done about coal tar sealants and banning certain chemicals in pavements. So lots of great examples of how we can give students opportunities to work in eco on real policy and apply the research that they are learning. Next, we have arts, talent, culture, and education. So again, trying to elevate water as really part of our identity. We've developed a water currents tour map. So when visitors come for conferences or just to visit, they can visit the Global Water Center and take a tour down 2nd Street, see the sites that have to do with water, and then get connected to Harborview Plaza at the end of that, where the School of Freshwater Sciences is to kind of create a cohesive water story for the city. Next, we have fishable, swimmable water bodies as a big goal. That's the goals that were contained in the Clean Water Act all the way back to the 1970s. And some of Milwaukee's rivers don't have a great reputation. There's industrial pollutants that have been there a long time, and there's been a huge new effort to clean up the Milwaukee River. We've gotten over $200 million from the EPA to finally clean up the rivers and pull out legacy pollutants. So that's a really exciting development. Our office worked directly to clean up Bradford Beach and build rain gardens on Bradford Beach. And really, Bradford Beach has gone from a deserted beach to one that's one of the most thriving beaches in the country. Number 4 is about building green infrastructure, which we've already touched on with our green infrastructure plan. We want a sustainable and healthy water supply, so that's all of the work that the Waterworks is doing to not only deliver clean water from Lake Michigan and treating it, but this renewed focus on removing lead service lines is a major new focus to try to make sure that we're delivering sustainable and healthy water. It should be noted there that there's a lot of concerns about water quality from Flint, Michigan. But Milwaukee water is really not comparable to Flint at all. We really do have good water, but we also have work to do to make sure we remove remaining lead service lines. Water leadership number 6 is really important. This means speaking about the importance of protecting the Great Lakes, and Mayor Johnson is he's a board member of the Great Lakes St. Lawrence Cities Initiative, where he works with mayors from around the Great Lakes in the US and Canada to make policy statements about protecting the Great Lakes. And then lastly, we have water technology. So that's working with the Water Council to create new good paying jobs through advanced technologies that can be built in Milwaukee, but also address some of the global challenges around water shortages and water filtration and things of that nature. So it's a comprehensive approach to look at water and all of its facets through that initiative. I mentioned a little bit about the ME2 program, and this is a program we've had for about over 10 years, and it provides financing and technical assistance to do energy efficiency in homes. This includes things like air sealing and insulation. It includes new furnaces, heat pumps, boilers, hot water heaters, things of that nature. Increasingly, there's a discussion about moving away from gas appliances to heat pumps and things that don't require gas. And so we are starting to work in that space as well. And again, we have a loan through Summit Credit Union that provides loans up to $15,000 for 15 years, as long as you work with a participating contractor. And then there's rebates from the State Focus on Energy program. And as we'll talk about in a subsequent slide, the Inflation Reduction Act passed an enormous amount of new incentives. So homeowners can get either tax credits if they pay taxes, or lower income residents will be able to get rebates for a lot of this work going forward, starting later this year. Our Milwaukee Shine Solar program also has a loan program through Summit Credit Union. And the idea is to make rooftop solar affordable. So again, we have loans, we have a solar group buy where we work with the Midwest Renewable Energy Association to get bulk pricing. They select 1 or 2 contractors that provides the bulk pricing that's trusted and reliable. And then we can connect people to those programs through educational events. We call them solar power hours. And there'll be another group buy later this year. And again, there's rebates and incentives from Focus on Energy, as well as federal tax credits that can cover up to 30% of the cost of solar. So solar really does pay for itself now once you take advantage of the tax credits and other resources. We have also helped the state apply for a major Solar for All grant. We don't know if we won it yet, but if and when we do win that, that'll create more funding opportunities for low-income solar as well. Touched on PACE financing a little bit, but quickly, the idea is to provide financing for up to 30 years on major commercial properties. This can cover energy efficiency, it can cover EV charging, green infrastructure. And the idea is that a property owner can get the regular mortgage financing, but they can get this extra loan amount specifically for sustainability projects. And it's paid on back as a special charge on the tax bill, so that if they sell the property, the charge remains until it's paid off. And that's really important because a lot of developers, they don't want to pay extra upfront because they might sell the property in a few years. But this changes the equation so that it really gives them a lot of financial incentive to do the right thing and invest in energy efficiency. And again, we've done about $40 million worth through that program without really any city tax investment at all. Next, we have a new major focus on trying to push for electric vehicles and low emission vehicles. So this past year, we passed a new ordinance that for when the city purchases vehicles for its own fleet, like police cars and fire trucks and other passenger vehicles, parking checkers, that heavy emphasis is on when they're available and cost effective to purchase hybrids or electric vehicles or other clean fuel vehicles. There are very practical exceptions to that. So if there's not a suitable low emission vehicle alternative, or if they're wildly more expensive, we can still default to what's available on the market, but it really pushes the city in a new direction. And we're really excited about that. We're also hiring a new electric vehicle coordinator that the recruitment just closed last week. And so we're excited to bring on somebody new this year to help coordinate these efforts, both for municipal vehicles as well as for the public. Wisconsin is way behind on EV charging. State law has not kept up. And as of this recording, we're close to getting a new state law that would open up the market for EVs, but we're not quite there yet. We have applied for federal grants through the new Community Fueling Infrastructure Grant. Unfortunately, we didn't get the last round, but we're going to apply again. But we really want to take a leadership role on getting more electric vehicle charging publicly available in our city. And we have published a preliminary electric vehicle readiness plan, which is available at milwaukee.gov/EV. There are some chargers out there now, and you can also find maps of where existing electric vehicle charging stations are currently. So we are leading in the city of Milwaukee. My view is that you have to take responsibility for the things that you are responsible for, but we also have a responsibility to speak out and try to leverage our influence to make broader change. And so I think it's fair to say that Milwaukee has been a true leader on environmental sustainability, but our state in the last decade has really fallen behind many of our neighbors on policy. And so we're founding members of the Wisconsin Local Government Climate Coalition, which is a coalition of cities from around the state, places like not only Milwaukee and Dane County and Madison, but also La Crosse, Eau Claire, Green Bay, Racine, Stevens Point, other places like that. And so as communities that are all have made climate goals that are grappling with the same issues, we can pull our collective voice and get state agencies to listen. And so through this coalition, we actively work together to coordinate with state agencies and make our voices heard at the Public Service Commission. Public Service Commission regulates our electric and gas utilities. And so it's really powerful to have a local government voice in those conversations at the state level. Next, Milwaukee's climate plan is also serving as the foundation for the regional climate plan. So there's a big new push with the Federal Inflation Reduction Act called the Climate Pollution Reduction Grants. They provided funding made funding available, I should say, to all 50 states plus the largest metro areas, and provided funding to do a regional climate plans. And so the Southeastern Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission is doing that region-wide climate action plan through using this funding, and they're using Milwaukee's climate and equity plan as the basis for the regional plan. So this covers the 4 county regions of Milwaukee County, Washington County, Ozaukee County, and Waukesha, and the communities therein. And so again, our Milwaukee's climate plan is serving as the basis for the regional plan. And then our office is leading the regional application for federal funding to implement some of the projects contained therein. So we're excited about it. We have other communities that are for the first time looking at creating sustainability offices and sustainability positions. And again, it's just an example of our influence in Milwaukee kind of spreading to other communities. And that's good for all of us because Milwaukee can't tackle global challenges alone. We really need all hands on deck. And so it's great to see other communities stepping up to the plate to tackle climate issues and sustainability issues. So this is a really exciting time. Our office has been at it since 2006. We have been working through the times when the federal government is a partner, as well as years when the federal government has not been supportive. But in the last 2 years, Congress passed the biggest climate bill in the history of this country. It's got an unfortunate title of the Inflation Reduction Act, but it has really got a lot in there for climate change. There was also the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the IIJA, that was passed the year before under the Biden administration. that included lots of funding for infrastructure, including clean energy projects. So between the IIJA and the IRA, there's unprecedented federal funding to do climate action. And so our job in ECO is to take advantage of that federal funding and bring as much of that federal funding to Milwaukee as possible. We also want to help educate our homeowners and businesses about these opportunities so that they can directly access these programs as well. So there are, again, lots of funding for electric vehicles to help households reduce energy use, to help municipal governments reduce their energy use, and all transition to renewable energy. Within those federal rules, there's what's called Justice 40, meaning the Biden administration wants 40% of all of the benefits of these programs, at least 40% to benefit disadvantaged communities, including Milwaukee. So we are well positioned for this. And again, our office is really going after these grants. We're successful in getting a $12 million urban forestry grant, which is one of the largest in the country. And that'll be shared amongst our city forestry division, Milwaukee County Parks, and Milwaukee Public Schools. We're working with community-based organizations as well. So we're really excited about the opportunity to getting caught up on the need to plant new trees and get over the setback we've had with emerald ash borer and other pests that have really damaged our tree canopy. This really gives us a chance to address that, remove pavement, and improve the landscape in Milwaukee. We also recently were awarded a grant to reduce food waste in Milwaukee, so look for programming supporting that coming out. We won a Buildings Up prize from the U.S. Department of Energy to develop a plan to do energy efficiency in apartments and multifamily housing, because tenants and rental properties have historically been very hard to reach when it comes to energy efficiency. And we've also won a big environmental justice grant. So we are going to be working with Sherman Park Community Association and Clean Wisconsin to hire resilience ambassadors and get the word out about these programs. So all of this is pretty exciting. We're getting the grants, we're building programs to get the word out even more and to continue to leverage this. I can't emphasize enough how much more funding is going to be coming, not only through our programs, but again, there's tax credits for people that pay taxes and earn enough to get those. People can get those now. Later this year, the Focus on Energy program will be rolling out rebates for home electrification and other energy efficiency that can cover much of the cost for lower income residents. There's these green banks that are going to be established that have been funded to provide loans and other support. So all of this needs to work together. And then again, community-based organizations are going to be really important to help get the word out about all of this. So it's a very, very exciting year. We're excited to be partners with the Biden administration and the federal government to finally start tackling climate change at the scale that's required to meet the challenge of the problem. So very exciting. We'll do a subsequent webinar about the Inflation Reduction Act, and you can learn more at milwaukee.gov/eco. You can also connect with us at various social media platforms, such as Facebook, Instagram, and X. And then I would encourage you to sign up for our newsletter, which is perhaps the best source of information as well. So with that, thank you so much for taking your time to learn about ECO. We want to partner with you. We want to continue to make Milwaukee a world-class eco city. Thanks so much and have a great day.